Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our panelists. Thank you for joining us on today's panel to discuss modern intergenerational success. May I start with you, Sheikha, with your question? What, in your experience, makes a successful intergenerational family business?
First of all, Natasha, I would like to thank ADGM for a remarkable event. This year seems to be very vibrant, and I would like to particularly thank Reem Al-Gbaisi and Afra from the partnership team for their endless support and for creating this magic behind this event. And I'm very pleased to be here sharing the panel with Marcus, Michael, and our dear friend Shamus. I think this question needs a lot of time, but I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can, Natasha. I'll just give you a very brief background of myself. I've been with the company, Rotana Hotel Management Company, for around 15 years. And I was very privileged to closely work with my father, who is the chairman and the founder of the company. What I was able to learn from him is something that no book will be able to teach me, because the values, the experience he's been through, everything he's done in his life is something that is not because he's my father, but it's remarkable. And today we are who we are because of the team he built, because of his dedication, because of his transparency. We deal with a lot of hotel owners and we deal with a lot of partners. It's a people-oriented type of business. And if we don't have the right communication, we don't have transparency with the people we deal with, from every aspect, we won't be able to survive. So it's very important to surround yourself with the right team, stay close to your values, and this goes back to your upbringing as well, and stay open to knowledge. Keep educating yourself.
That's very, very insightful for all family businesses. May I turn to you, Shamis, and ask you, what are the main highlights of the intergenerational success of your family business?
First of all, so happy to be here today. Regarding your question, I think the main factors that plays a role in the success of intergenerational continuity, the succession planning and continuity of the business, is the ability to be cohesive and working together as one body. Because I know there's a lot of focus on governance. I'm not saying that governance is not important. It creates a framework to work in. But also what's more important than governance is the unity of the family members. So when the family members are together, are working as one team, that's the main success of the family business. Once you lose that, any paperwork you have around the articles or the protocols or anything associated with that is not going to be worth anything at all. So that's the first thing I would say is the main factor towards the success and continuity of family is families need to be one, and they need to work as one body and be able to deal with their differences and openly discuss them and resolve them. So I would say that's the first pillar. The second pillar would be is what Sheikha mentioned earlier, is continuously educating the next generation. Because what I saw in my experience is that sometimes the second or the third generation are being kind of not listened to and not being developed enough. And what that does is that it causes them becoming alienated outside of the family. And then when they come in, they don't really know what's happening inside the family business. They don't really know how to operate and run a family business. And this is when problems starts happening. So I think continually educating and developing the family business in terms of teaching them how to be good family members, how to be good shareholders is also important for family business continuity and succession. And I would say the third part is the family need to, which I mentioned earlier, it becomes not of great value if there is no unity, but the family need to sit together and create clear guidance of how they want to govern and manage their family businesses as they go forward. So I think I would focus on these 3 points for now, and I think these are, from my experience, the main points for success and continuity.
Thank you very much.
If I may add, Natasha, I think as just adding to what Shamus was saying, alignment and communication is very important. So it's very important that the members of the family are very aligned and they maintain a very open communication.
So alignment and open communication. Marcos, your question, why do many businesses struggle with intergenerational transition in your view?
So first of all, I'd like to thank you for hosting me here in ADGM. Quickly, I'm just a representative of a sixth generation who is into agribusiness, mainly soft commodities, which is coffee, cocoa, and cotton. And from the wealth creation, we have this family office bank down in Switzerland. Now, you raise a number of points that go together with what my other panelists rose is the succession planning, is the absence of a clear plan, and delaying the succession. You know, I have an uncle who worked until the age of 96. I mean, how can the next generation really start and start making their own decisions when you have somebody that is still watching over your shoulder and preventing you from developing and implementing your own strategy? So that's one of them. You might have also disagreements between families. You know, as you get bigger in the family trees, is who gets to work for whom. So we mentioned a family charter, but I think you should also have an employment charter. Who gets to work for the family and based on what conditions? Again, you also have to deal between the family members who work and don't work. You have active shareholders, passive shareholders, and if you don't make everybody happy, that creates obviously a lot of conflicts between the families, which brings you maybe to a third protocol that you need to set up within a family business, which is dividends. Because for those who work in the family, yes, they see salary and bonuses and compensation. For those who don't work, they don't see anything. So remaining a shareholder of a family business, you have to find the right grounds for a dividend policy so that they compensate for remaining a shareholder and being a happy shareholder. And it all goes at the end of the day with communication, as what was said. So a little bit of insight.
Thank you very much for that. Michael, may I ask you the same question? Why do many businesses struggle, in your view, with intergenerational transition?
Well, thank you very much for having me and then sit alongside with our amazing panelists. Fourth generation from a family in the commercial real estate and then entertainment. We have done a lot in figuring out what is the legacy to us. I think in the family business, legacy is the most important thing to not only the wealth creator, but also for next generations. I think we talk a lot about the openness and then the communications and the discussion within the family. But I think a ballpark idea, we categorize into two things when it becomes difficult for intergenerational wealth transfer. One is obviously the complex dynamics within the family. So I won't go much more in depth on that, basically your relationship with their parents and their siblings and everybody. On the other side is the external pressure. So in terms of the next generation, how you're actively involved with the family business. I started working for my dad when I was 7. Particularly we own the movie theater chains, so I was selling movie tickets. When I'm back, my dad called me back to the family business, and I said, I don't know how to sell movie tickets anymore. Maybe we'll start something else. So at the end of the day, I think it's all about active engagement with the family. Stay open, stay humble, and also sometimes that I figured a lot of wealth creator as well as the parents that they find it difficult to relinquish their power, which make the next generation less empowered. That's where our fellow panelists talk a lot of things about stay openness and then stay engaged and engage with the next generation a lot when you can, so the next generation can exactly know what's happening in the family.
Thank you so much. Sheikha, what about you, your view on the question, why businesses struggle with intergenerational transition?
If I may, before answering your question, I just wanted to give the audience a little bit of a background of Rotana Hotel Management Company. So Rotana Hotel Management Company was established in 1992, and its main scope was in operating hotels. So we started with one hotel. Today we're around 140 hotels in 44 cities and 24 countries, of which 84 are operating. Again, the company wouldn't have been able to reach where it is today without values, without commitment, without dedication, without being very close to our owners and our partners. And, hearing my fellow panelists speak about their own experiences and going back to my experience, it wasn't easy, okay? And I learned it the hard way. There's a project that is very dear to my heart, and I was very privileged and honored to work alongside His Excellency Shamis on that project, and it's the Saadiyat Rotana. I think if you need to go and visit, for those who are visiting Abu Dhabi, I encourage you to go visit Saadiyat Rotana. This was the first project which I was able to engage. I didn't have any background in construction. I didn't have any background in project management or anything, but I learned it the hard way. For us, it was very difficult to, because there was a lot of stakeholders engaged, we had to have a very clear communication with the partners. So without Shamis, I know Shamis also comes from a family business background, but because he was so dedicated, he was so hands-on as a second generation, and I was from the second generation as well. And we worked very closely together because we carry the same values and the same principles. And we wanted to deliver something that is unique and successful. And I think we were able to do that because of our commitment and because we were both listened to by our families and our fathers. So if you have the right knowledge, if you have substantiation behind your ideas or behind your opinions, you shouldn't be worried about delivering. And if you have an objective or a cause in mind that also associates to this project in terms of sustainability or ESG, also, like it's the good cause or it's the good intentions you have that will also lead you to a successful path.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Was I able to answer your question?
That was a very insightful answer. Thank you. Shamis, may I ask you, following on from Sheikha's response, what opportunities and challenges do you feel family businesses may face in Abu Dhabi?
Before I talk about Family, to answer, before answering your questions, I just want to say I didn't have a choice. I had to be the project manager on that project with them. Because her father was the client representative on site. He was there every day. But it was, yeah, certainly an exciting experience. But going back to your main question, I think the main challenges that are facing family businesses is the ability of listening to the next generation and adapting to change. Because what happens is that, and probably we touched base earlier on this, is that we end up having a founder or a generation who's running the operation, who's there and thinks everything he's doing is right. And in today's changing world, it's not like before. Things are changing on very highly regular basis. And if you are unable to change and adapt and make yourself ready for the future, and having the younger generation coming in and giving you ideas of how to create change within the organization, because that's the blood that's going to give you the possibility of adapting to what's happening around you in the world. So many things happening around the world. Like a few years ago, it was all about data, what do they call it? Data collection, right? And I never knew why we were collecting data, what we will do with data. And today, I understand that it's all comes back to AI, right? And nobody thought that the hardware and software could reach to a point that could take the data and analyze it and give you output in such speed and efficiency. Now, if you are sitting and not listening to the world and what's happening around you and fixed in your mindsets, you will not be able to change and adapt, and you will be left behind and you will die. So I think opening the opportunities, whether it's through a third generation fund, which invests into smart ideas of your upcoming generations, or supporting them in developing smart ideas, or getting the third generation into the business through a proper, as mentioned by Marcos, a proper recruitment charter or mandate or a committee that does that role, and engaging them into the business and openly listening to them. Family businesses will end up lagging behind you, and you will not be able to move forward in this changing world.
Thank you. And that answer really goes to the heart of good planning. So my question for you, Marcos, is how significant is poor succession planning for businesses?
It could have a number of consequences. I mean, you plan for the future in terms of business continuity. So not planning ahead, what if the current founder or business owner has an illness or retires, and there's no one ahead taking over? It stops the decision process, making process. So you do have a number of risk of business failures. It could also, as you know, they say in studies say that family businesses pass on to the next generation. There you have a survival rate of 30% from the first generation to the second, and from the second to the third, about 10 to 15%. So you need to be extremely cautious when you plan ahead. Again, as I said, we're sixth generation. In our family business, we probably have 12 family members, and it becomes complicated as to who decides what. So believe it or not, today, in terms of governance, we've put a lot of focus. Management is no longer family members. We have an external CEO, an external CFO, but it's true that underneath, we do still have family members. And at the board level, what we've decided, given that there's a number of family branches, is each family branch can have a family member as a representative and an external one. So you do create diverse input in terms of people who can help you out and move forward the company. But even so, let me tell you, it's always a challenge, because it's not only having the governance in place, but you still have those shareholders who say, well, we have the money, so we should have the power. But again, it's not because you have the money that you have the skills to run a business, and this is where you enter also into challenges. And then you have, again, maybe some of the conflicts where some board members want to take operational decisions and make investments which do not fall within their scope. And again, you find yourself into managing conflicts, and this is something that, unfortunately, as a family, we have from time to time, and it's hard to run the business. So that's where our external CEO and CFO have to put order in the house together with these external board members. On my side, I'm lucky. I'm a first-generation business into the bank, so I'm the only family member right now. But it's true that I need to start planning for succession as well. And I'm happy to say that I'll have a nephew joining me in the course of next year. So we'll see. That's for the long run and educating him.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're on the road to a successful transition. Michael, what is one technique that you would use or advise to secure the future of family businesses?
Yeah, I won't say advice, but I think speaking on behalf of myself as an action, I think I figured out what, back to my point, which is figured out what is legacy to you and then to your family. Our family spent about 15 years learning in our family history, meaning writing a book for my great-grandfather, who was a founding member of Chinese Freemason. Then actively exploring what are the educational resources out there for next generation to be engaged. I think when I say educational, meaning, as the next generation, I think we need to figure out our own identity. We normally talk a lot of things about identity capital, which divide into the intangible capital as well as the tangible capital. I think the tangible capital is very easily to acquire, but those intangible capitals are quite often difficult for our next generations. Then you figure out that, and then you talk about a lot of things about back to your family business and other family members. And the ultimate goal is really to think about a way we as the next generation can make impact, not only within the family, people around us, but talking about as a global citizen right now, how to create more impact globally. So that's why our family has been working closely with one of the leading Ivy League schools in the world on particularly that research. Hopefully that we can share, but that's a little bit of my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask Sheikha for your view on the same question? Any technique that you would use or advise to secure the future of family businesses?
I think governance is key. So maybe creating the right, having the right board members, having a clear succession plan in place, surrounding yourself with the right team. In our case, we have, as Michael was saying, both our CEO and COO are externally. And the board, we have some family members, and obviously my father is the chairman, a family member represents, but if you have a clear path, if you have clear objectives, and there shouldn't be any obstacles that would come in the way of achieving those objectives. So I think communication is key. Having an open dialogue between family members is also very important. And getting in the position where you are today is supposed to be based on what you earned. So in my case, I had to work hard to be able to get to where I am today. So it's very clear to the family that the job is not given to you just like that. You have to work for it to be able to earn it. and educate yourself as well.
Thank you. So Shamis, education and earning the position. So my question to you is, why do you think many businesses struggle with intergenerational transition?
I think the main reason, I mean, it starts sometimes from whoever is running the business, because he expects everybody of the family members who are there should be hard workers and should be the best of the best when it comes to family business. But sometimes you need to listen to the family members. I've heard a story, it doesn't apply to us, but I've heard the story of another family which one of the family members was not aligned with everything the family business was doing. And the founder was forcing him, or the leader of the business was forcing him to come back into the business. You have to work, you have to work. And then they said, somebody spoke to him privately and said, why are you actually doing all of this? He said, because I don't want to do business. I love art and I want to go buy my art pieces and live a different life. So I think this is where there needs to be an open mind by the leader of the business, because he's the one who cascades the right message across of you don't have to force yourself to be part of and to be exactly like what the business looks like and how we are. So I think listening to the next generation, and coming back to this example, and the guy asked him, he said, why didn't you tell your father? And he said, because I'm scared to tell him, he'll think I've put him down, So I think it's one of these things where there needs to be open communication between the family members, as I think this is the main message, open mind, that not everybody needs to be the same. And this is potentially the success of other family businesses, because you've allowed family members who want to do something else to do what they want to do. I've seen examples in the region where other family members have done something different, and what they have done has actually become bigger than the mother company. So having that open mind, the listening, and having that open culture and the engagement with the family members, not on official level, and listening to them on a mentoring and advising level, I think is quite important to achieve that education and learning to the next generation.
Thank you. So we don't have time for final questions, but any final thoughts from you, Marcos?
No, I think you said the key words. Communication is important, and willingness versus capability also in terms of people who want to join a family business. You cannot push them, but they have to be willing to do so and work and be capable as well. So.
Michael, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'll keep it very short. So next generation, everything is not entitled. You have to earn it.
Can you please join with me in thanking today's fantastic panelists?